So I remember many years ago, I was looking for God. So I grew up a Christian, of course. I come from a very Christian background, religious background. And I tried to visit a couple of churches. I went to the Catholics. I remember at some point I visited the Protestants. I remember at some point I was approached by the Jehovah Church, Latter-day Saints. There were many. And I still figured out that I couldn't actually get what I was looking for. I couldn't find what I was looking for in that time. I said, okay, let's try the Pentecosts. I went to the Pentecosts. I went from one church. A couple of months, I went to another one. A couple of months, I went to another one. I even remember going to one church one time. So when the service was finished, I remember standing behind because I was waiting for the rain to stop so that I could go home. And I'm looking through the window, and this pastor in that time was standing in that room with the soldiers. They were like soldiers. I think they were like two, maybe, with guns. And they was counting money. So there's money they had accumulated in the service, and they was counting the money and, looking around who is watching, they were like kind of sharing the money between themselves. And for me, it was a big red flag that there could be something behind the scenes that wasn't making so much sense. And eventually, of course, I left that church. Fast forward, post-awakening, I got the awakening, of course, and I figured out that I had been blind in a toxic relationship for 7 years. The very first question that came to my mind was, how would I be sleeping all this time? How couldn't I see that I was being abused? Okay? I knew that this entanglement had actually taken a very big toll on my health, my mental well-being. So I had paid the price for apparently trying to love someone that wasn't worthy of my time. Fortunate enough, post-awakening, I was able to drag myself out of this entanglement. Okay, it was the end of it. Very painful, but it was a choice I had to do because I figured out this entanglement wasn't serving me. Okay, and then I started to go on this journey of discovery, self-discovery, self-evolution, development, growth, spirituality, and everything. And I started to discover so many things that actually most of the answers I'd been looking for over the years, all the answers was inside of me. There was nothing out there, I would be moving, hopping from church to church, relationship to relationship. But at the end of the day, I found out that the only person left to love was myself. So I eventually started the journey of self-love. Okay, I learned about self-love. I started putting much energy, more time, more resources into myself to love myself a little bit more, because finally you discover that you have actually been giving your love away to the wrong people, okay? The false people, the energy vampires. And that time was gone. A lot of individuals that are waking up in this particular time, they are discovering something what many people term as the matrix. So many of you guys have, of course, watched the matrix. And it took me quite a while to figure out what this matrix was all about. What is this matrix? I used to see the matrix, people talking about the matrix, especially in the spiritual community. And of course, like I always do, I went in to dig deep, figure out what is this matrix they're talking about. Did you ask yourself a question as to why very many people post-awakening You will see a lot of people, they leave their church. So many people, they leave their relationships. So many people, they leave their schools. A lot of people, they leave their jobs. A lot of people, they get out of their families. And we can try to handle this one by one. Let's start with the families. The very first person to wake up in a family unit, especially a toxic family unit, that will be the black sheep of the family. They're the very first people that are going to see the truth for what it is. They will figure out that this whole thing has been a lie. It has been a very big fat lie. This whole setup of family was an illusion. I don't necessarily say that all people come from dysfunctional families. There are some people who have been born into normal families, healthy families. They wish each other the best. They support each other. They uplift each other. But of course, eventually for the black sheep, it's another story. They have grown up in very difficult environments and around very toxic family members as well. So now you're waking up and you're looking around and your eyes are wide open, and you're thinking that this family is not serving you. This family is not doing it for you. It has never done it for you in the first place. So you have been caught up in this trap of family, so-called family, but there's no family member that has ever wished you the best. The only thing they always did was beat you down, abuse you, gaslight you, beat down your self-esteem, do whatever it is. You guys know this whole life of a scapegoat and the black sheep of the family. So you have always been the different one, of course. But at the same time, you have also paid the price of, getting entangled with those kind of family units. And you're discovering that they are no longer serving you, okay? So it is time for you to break free. It is time for you to find your freedom. And putting on your shoes. I remember doing a video back in the days, what usually happens when the scapegoat walks away, okay? And then, of course, the very moment you decide to detach, you found yourself eventually, You spent so many years, 40 years, 30 years, entangled with the toxic family unit. The moment you walked away because you was tired of this BS, you was tired of the crap, you walked away, you found yourself. Eventually, you know who you are, okay? You know your self-worth. You're seeing a lot of growth happening around you, and you're thinking that that's a coincidence? I think not. Let's go to the churches. There's people who have been involved with a particular church. They could have had their own faith, and I don't really have any problem with that. There's something you believe in, so you have got your church. You are the ushers. You are the choir. The choir teams, and you are all these people that serve, and you are a very committed member of that church. But behind the scenes, you're always walking back home, and you are looking at your life like nothing is changing. You have been in this church. You pray for miracles, you go there. So I remember sometime back in the days, I used to pray for miracles. I was like, oh, maybe I need some kind of miracle. So you go to these Pentecost churches and, the guys are like, oh, so if you want a miracle in your life, I want this kind of amount, this amount of money, and you should come to the office. So the other church members was not valid in that time, only the people that wanted miracles. So you pay some money for some miracles. And at the end of the day, you couldn't see anything. And you're starting to add up all these pieces. Why is your life like always the same? Why aren't you going anywhere? Why aren't you moving to the next level? Why are you always stuck in one place? Nothing is changing. And everybody is talking about God and Jesus and all these kind of things that follow. Your life is still the same. I've been doing videos for a while, and sometimes I get comments. Oh, this and this. Oh, the Jesus what and the Jesus this and the First Corinthians and the Bible says this and all that kind of stuff. I've been a Christian for most part of my life, ladies and gentlemen. I've even at some point been reading the Bible. It was a part of me. But personally, I do not strongly believe in organized religion. I have a respect for them, okay? You're a religious person, I have no problem with you. You can always pray in whichever faith you want to believe in. We all have free will to follow or to pray or to believe in anything that actually we believe in or we think probably works for us. But many people that are waking up, they are also realizing that their lives for the entire time have always been the same. Even most likely worst case scenarios, they have been involved. Probably their pastor was a narcissist. The only thing they wanted was their energy, their money, their resources. I saw some people even selling their land. You know, a pastor will come out and tell people to sell their land, you know, their houses, their homes, their cars, so that they can build the Church of Christ. Now you're asking people to sell their property and belongings so that you can build the church of, God's church and the stuff like that. Further pushing people into poverty. Now there's nothing wrong with contributing to whatever it is you want to build. But I do not believe personally that you have got to go and sell your property and get all the money, give it to your pastors to build a church. So when people start figuring these things out, people are like, this whole thing is a lie. Say, this whole thing is crap. You know, their lives have been the same. They've been doing the same job over and over again. They've been in the same narcissistic cycle in their homes with their wives and husbands over the years. Even some of them going to that same church, and they've just been going through punishment all their lives until they meet channels like this, which actually open their eyes, and they're like, listen guys, that woman is a narcissist. And they don't get these insights from those churches or their pastors. They get the insights from somebody who is not even connected to their churches. Is that a coincidence? I think not. We can talk about relationships. A person is entangled with a narcissist. One of the most painful things I discovered in the journey was I started seeing people who have been in prison, you know, a marriage. Can you believe a marriage? You know, you go and make all these vows and, you know, put on these rings and everything, celebrate a marriage, only for you to end up with a very toxic person and abusive partner for the entire, most part of your life. Years, we're talking about 20, 14 years, 20 years, 25 years. And you're thinking that you've invested so much time in the wrong relationship, you know, or sometimes the wrong marriage. And eventually when you wake up, you're like, these blinders have been opened, have gone off, and you're like, oh, now you see this, it's abuse, okay? So you cannot stand this anymore. You deserve better for yourself, and you kind of feel that you need to go a different way and get out of this so-called relationship or marriage. And it's still not a coincidence that when you go out there, you still discover yourself. You finally figure out that you're worth more than this toxic husband or wife that you've been living with over the last couple of years. They don't even deserve your energy. You're now discovering these things post-awakening because you've walked away and you finally remembered who you are, and you've also remembered how to take your power back. You are now stepping into the greatest version of yourself without the toxic people. I still do not believe that is a coincidence. You're just waking up from the matrix. And we can go on and on and on with so many different areas of society. So the illusion, or what people may call the matrix, is everywhere. Is in front of us. The matrix is around us. You know, you're in this job. You put in your efforts. You work so hard. You put in the hours. And you've been working for years. You know, you're in a contract. You've been working for years. You can even barely pay your rent, you know. You wake up very early, come back late, look after family, watch a few series on TV. And at the end of the day, you cannot pay your rent. You can barely feed yourself. You can barely feed your children. And sometimes you're like, maybe you deserve better, you know. So you're getting out of this work and you're thinking maybe you could start creating something for yourself. You have awakened, okay? And few months down the road, or years down the road, you're starting to figure out that, oh, actually, you can create your own freedom, your own financial freedom, and, you know, you can break free from this job that you've been doing for so many years. Even sometimes probably you wasn't appreciated. Maybe you wasn't paid well, or sometimes they underpaid you, or sometimes they, you know, didn't pay you nothing at all. You never got a promotion that you needed, you deserved. You never got the respect that you deserve, no matter how much you put into this job or whatever, you know. So sometimes you're feeling and you're believing, you're starting to realize and figure out that this whole thing is a lie, and it's, you know, it's just some big fat lie, okay? Of course, unfortunately, I do not necessarily have any problem with anybody. You have your job, you okay, you pay your bills and everything. I don't have a problem with that. You feel that you want to do that, it's from your soul, you're enjoying what you do, you're putting the effort, you like what you do, you love what you do, there's no problem with that. I'm not talking with the people that actually love where they are at the moment, okay? I'm talking to the people who are always waking up and complaining about something that they have been doing over and over again. So it has been a roller coaster. It has been like a cycle whereby you just walk around and come back to where you've been and keep on going. And there's nothing is changing. You're still getting the same results, doing the same thing over and over again. Sometimes it's even getting too much in your head. Sometimes you go to workplaces and you see people who are even complaining. You know, they even hate each other. They start sometimes fighting with each other in the job place, screaming at each other because they don't even like their job. And then you woke up one day, you got out, you started something else. You know, maybe you created something different, or you started your own channels, whatever it is you might have put your hand. And you're thinking that, how come you're more happier doing this? You couldn't find the happiness back in the days, but now you started to be more happier doing something that you love, okay? It is not like you're waking up and somebody's forcing you to do something. You're doing this out of your soul because you feel that is, first of all, good for your soul, and it's also something that is even helping humanity in so many different kinds of ways, you know? So people, they start to kind of get out of these traps of these so-called illusions that they've lived their entire life. And they finally figured out they are finding so much freedom, you know? So when you hear people talking about matrix or something like that, you could just basically understand that this is just the big fat lie of a perfect marriage, the big fat lie of school. Some people have even dropped out of their schools because they're like, well, why are they studying over and over again, only to end up doing something completely different, something they even never studied in school. You know, somebody studied to be a lawyer or whatever, or kind of, you know, some kind of profession. I know some people who have studied so many very, very powerful, you know, courses and stuff like that. They have finished their studies and they're selling shoes, you know. They are selling shoes, they are selling clothes, they're into hairdressing, they're into something different, not even connected to what they studied. And they spend so much investments, time and money, studying something that they never even needed in the first place. So for me, I think the big fat lie is this big illusion that we've been sold over the years, okay? And it is now coming to that sense whereby people are starting to realize that they have been living a lie, you know, this entire time. So I think one of the most painful parts, I could say, of the awakening is realizing that you've been in the wrong place. Probably studied the wrong course in school. You've been following the wrong church. You've been with the wrong partner, relationship, wrong marriage. A lot of, you know, these friends around you that you used to think they really liked you. You know, sometimes you go on these social media chats or whatever social media pages and you see a lot of these guys putting all the smiles and, you know, their recent dresses, they're in the parties, you know, popping bottles and everything, stuff like that, the champagnes and everything. But at the end of the day, they're still going back home and they're realizing that they're still miserable. You know, after all these fun and parties and enjoyment and festivities and everything, they're going back home and they're still realizing that they're still lonely, you know. The most people that actually show you that they are too happy in public, they're in their homes coiled up and, you know, looking at themselves in the mirror and still figuring out that they're not living the life that they should or they're supposed to live because they're very much deeply caught up in the illusion. If you ask me, I would tell you it's a big fat lie. So this whole thing of matrix, like I've said, matrix is around us, it's everywhere around us. It's just that some people are too awakened to see it. Some people are still blind. They haven't yet awakened to understand what is going on around them. But there's some people that are awakened to see this and understand this and even sometimes make very serious changes in their own lives. But whatever it is, I will still promise you, ladies and gentlemen, you have awakened. There's nothing you can do. You will always see things the way they are. There's nothing you can change. You can only move forward away from the BS, and you can eventually become the greatest version of yourself. So let me know what you think about this video in the comment section below. You guys know that I do love and appreciate your support. Book a session. You may donate or support my channel if you want to. Everything you need, you will find it in the description below. And until then, I will catch you guys in my next one. Denzo Moses signing out. Much love and blessings. Peace.